My grandmother never needed a Latin name. Her hands knew these plants. From the crisp snap of a dandelion stem, from the thin Mohawk stripe running down a chickweed stalk, from the milky sap that pooled in her palm. On the Mayflower, settlers carried dandelion seeds across the ocean, not by accident, but as medicine. 400 years later, we spend $500 a year trying to kill them. Something got lost along the way. Today, I'm inviting you to slow down. 6 plants your grandmother would have called by name. We'll start with the most misunderstood and work back to the one that was here before you were born. 12 minutes and one small question. Why did we forget? Right now, in your own yard, there are plants that never asked to be planted, never need watering, never need fertilizer. They just keep coming year after year, whether anyone notices or not. We'll move through them in reverse, from the most humble to the one your great-grandmother loved the most. Each one has a clear identifying feature, a small story, and one look-alike you should know to avoid confusion. The next 12 minutes are unhurried. If you can, put the kettle on, crack a window toward the garden. The first plant we're meeting has a secret you can feel right on its stem. Quick note, everything in this video is for educational purposes only, not medical advice. Always cross-reference at least 3 trusted sources and consult your doctor before adding any wild herb to your diet. Look down. In this tangled green carpet, 5-petaled flowers split right down the middle are blooming like tiny stars that fell to earth. And if you run your finger along the stem, a thin Mohawk ridge will follow, switching sides at every leaf node. In the winter of 1942, when German U-boats blockaded Britain and green vegetables vanished from the shelves, the government printed pamphlets. Harvest chickweed, the poor man's spinach. Grandmothers boiled it into thin soup so their grandchildren could survive that winter. A generation of grandmothers did this before us. We're simply remembering. It's still growing, right at the edge of your walkway, waiting for a hand that knows how to bend down. The next one, 3 oval leaflets, each marked with a faint white V-shaped watermark, all joined at a single center point. White silky fireworks exploding across a green velvet carpet. Pinch off a small floret, lift it to your lips, and sip the base. A drop of nectar, sweet and clean, dissolves on the tip of your tongue. This is a childhood secret that adults forgot. The Celtic Druids used clover as a protective charm. The Irish survived famine seasons because they knew what to call the plant beneath their feet. The 2 safest plants of the 6, and the 2 pulled out first every Saturday morning. The next one tastes like lemon and explodes in your hand when you barely touch the seed pods. But it also has something people with kidney stones should know before they try it. Heart-shaped leaves the color of blue-green jade, sharply indented at the tip, not rounded. Touch a ripe cylindrical seed pod gently. It bursts like a mini firecracker, shooting seeds right through your fingers. Nature's Skittles. Bite into a leaf, bright lemon sour, waking every taste bud instantly. That sourness comes from malic acid. This plant actually photosynthesizes at night to stay cool. In 1830, botanist Biceno argued that this wood sorrel, not clover, was the true shamrock of Ireland. because the Irish had known its sharp, sour flavour through generations. Every nutritious plant has a limit. Going slowly isn't a lack of efficiency, it's how nature teaches us about dosage. The next one, its young shoots look like they've just been dusted with the first snow of the season. That white powder is the single most important identifying feature among all 6 plants today. Rub your finger along a young shoot. The white powder slides right off, revealing the blue-green colour underneath. The stem bends proud before it snaps. In the Tolland Bog in Denmark, archaeologists found seeds of a close relative of this plant in the stomach of a man who lived 2,400 years ago. That was his last meal, preserved perfectly across millennia. Going slowly is part of staying safe, not an optional step. The last 2 plants are the 2 your great-grandmother loved most, and the 2 that need the most care of all 6. A stubborn little jade plant, fleshy leaves soaking up harsh sun in a sidewalk crack. Plump, glossy stems with a reddish-purple tint. Snap the stem, a crisp, clean break, and a bead of clear moisture appears. Henry David Thoreau wrote in Walden about completely satisfying dinners made from nothing but a plate of purslane grabbed from a cornfield. Gandhi called it vebdolaga, his favourite. The Book of Job mentions it as something people ate in their hardest days. A clean tartness on the tongue, then a faint pepper warmth at the back of the throat. In the same family as wood sorrel, but quieter, more patient. The last plant, and the first one my grandmother ever taught me to name. A single hollow stem, no branching. Snap it, a clean, crisp crack, and white, milky sap rises, cool and faintly sticky. This is how my grandmother recognized it. No magnifying glass, no field guide needed. On the Mayflower, settlers carried dandelion seeds across the ocean, not by accident, but because they knew what had value. 400 years later, that plant is still arriving, whether anyone plants it or not. This is the first plant my grandmother taught me to name. Maybe it was the first one yours taught you, if you still remember. 6 plants, 6 names. 1 small invitation, if you'll take it. These 6 plants were never the enemy. They are 6 old friends who have been waiting a long time to be called by name again. Going slowly is part of staying safe. The rule of 3 sources, 2 identifying features, and 1 look-alike for each plant is enough for you to stand confidently in your own yard. And the last thing I want to leave you with is not a checklist. It's 1 small moment. Every morning, bend down, name 1 plant. After 6 weeks, you'll know 6 names, not because you studied, but because you made friends with them. Why did we forget? Because we were taught that a beautiful yard is a clean yard. But peace doesn't come from controlling your garden. It comes from finally understanding it. We are simply remembering. Today, go outside, bend down, call a plant by name.